So I just got in from milking the cow, and today's the day when I'm going to show you how I strain the milk and get it in the fridge and clean my equipment. So here's my 2 buckets of milk from 2 different cows. We're looking for another stainless steel bucket, but we can't find one that we like. We don't want another one of this one. The handle's kind of funny on it. So for now we use a food grade bucket for 1 cow. This is my cleanup bathroom. It's in the basement. I'm very fortunate to have this space. If you live in a temperate climate, it might be worth making a little outdoor cleanup space. We had that for years and it was really great. But now we live in the frozen north and I'm thankful for this basement bathroom. First step is to strain the milk. I get the milk straining right away. Ideally I'd have another stainless steel bucket, but I don't, so I have a 4-gallon stainless steel pot. It's actually one of my cheese making pots. I have 2, so 1 stays down here. I have an epic milk strainer. Some people use like a reusable coffee filter. I recommend using something with disposable strainers, disposable filters, sorry. It's easier to catch things, and straining milk has kind of a double purpose. Its first purpose is to catch any bits of hair or hay that get in the milk, because it happens. The second is you can actually tell if your cow is coming down like early stages mastitis and fight it before it gets to needing antibiotics. So my filter goes in there. This goes in here. There's all sorts of milk filters available on Amazon. I'll link one for you that a friend has that she really likes. It can actually strain right into your jars, which would be amazing. But since I already have this filter, it kind of feels silly to buy another one. So I didn't quite fit all the milk in because the pot would have been like really full if I did that. So I'm actually going to take this filter and put it right on top of the milking bucket. So it's just going to drip right back into the milking bucket and deal with this milk first before I deal with the rest. So we use either gallon glass jars or half-gallon glass jars, or food grade plastic buckets. Depends on if I was going to be making cheese, I might just strain it right into my cheese pot. If I was going to be, making cheese with it tomorrow, I might put it just in a big fat food grade bucket. Mostly I just put it in gallon jars. So I always smell the gallon jar because you can tell right away if the lid was put on while it was still wet. If the lid was put on while the jar or the lid was still wet, I'll give the jar a quick rinse and shake out all the water. But these were dried very well before the lid was put on. We don't need no sweaty milk jars. As soon as I have a bucket empty and not being used anymore, I start washing buckets because it's a lot easier to wash them just a bit at a time versus having to have a whole stack of them at once. So the first step is I always rinse with cold water first. This is more important with metal buckets than plastic buckets, but always rinse out with cold water first. The reason this is important with metal buckets is washing with warm water, you'll get milk stone, so you must rinse with cold water first to get all the milk residue out, and then you wash with warm water, and this will keep your buckets from getting that white residue that is hard to get off. So now I'm going to show you bucket washing protocol with a metal bucket, because I think this one's more important to show you. So this rag I'm going to use for the whole of washing up, but it's only going to touch the insides of buckets. The outside is contaminated by other things, and I don't want to put that on the inside of my buckets. So I'm going to give it a good wash, and then this is going to hang on the side of the sink so it doesn't touch the bottom of the sink. The bottom of the bucket, it's got some stuff on it. First I'm going to rinse that with cold water. So I have a scrub brush that only touches the bottoms and outsides of buckets, so I can get off the stubborn things on the bottom, and it doesn't go on the insides of buckets. So now that the inside has been soaked and rinsed and the outside has been washed, I have a vinegar spray. This is horticulture strength vinegar. You could just use a high acidity white vinegar. And I'm going to spray. And one of the reasons it's so important to just wash one bucket at a time is this is now going to sit with that vinegar until I have another bucket to wash. Once I have another bucket to wash, I'll rinse that vinegar one, hang it up to dry, and get my next one washing. So I forgot to show you between cows, but I do look between cows. So before you rinse this, you take this out and you look at the filter. So this is from 2 cows. It definitely looked less dirty when there was only 1 cow. But we're gonna look at this filter. So all I see is the odd fleck of hay, and there's some hair one of the cows is shedding. So I brush them down first, but you can't prevent it. And this is why we strain it. This is a little dirtier than I'd like to see, but it's not too bad. Now what we're looking for is little white clumps and clots. If there is any of those little white clumps and clots, what you're going to do is you're going to pick one up and you're going to rub it between your fingers. Does it kind of melt in like butter? That's okay, it's fine. Does it roll like a cheese curd? That is signs of a blocked duct, and you need to do some preventative measures. Like I have a Dynamint cream on my blog, and that's excellent for blocked ducts. So this just now gets checked. And then same protocol, make sure the water's cold first. And then I need 2 hands here to do my hot soapy water wash, followed by the vinegar spray. Now, I have less than half a gallon left here. I keep my cow's milk separate simply because I like to see the different cream lines. You don't have to, my sister doesn't. But if I had not already poured the other one into a half-gallon jar, I don't normally get more than 3 gallons of milk from Annabelle, but I would combine like 2 half-gallons to make only 1 gallon in the jar in the fridge if I needed, but I'm gonna end up with 2 half-gallons here. It was a higher production day for the girls, which is fun. Thank you, ladies. So I'll just finish up getting it in the fridge here. So I feel labeling milk is really important. I use a wet erase marker, so it stays on, it doesn't wipe off unless it's wet. So it washes off easily, but it doesn't just get wiped off easily. I label the date as well as an A for Annabelle or an M for Mossy. If I was milking twice a day, I would also put AM or PM on the jars. Why is this important? Well, my thoughts are that what if for some reason you found that there was an issue with, so today's the 4th. What if I opened a jar from the 1st from Mossy and I realized there was something wrong with that milk? I could then select all the milk from the 1st from Mossy and feed it to the pigs. I have never had to do this, and I've had milking cows for the better part of 11 years now. But I just feel it's one of those things, like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What if something happened? At least we'd have them all separated by milking by cow. This is just my raw milk standards. Yeah, just one of those things. So they all are labeled. I labeled the lid and the jar. So they're all labeled, and now it's time to put them in the fridge. In our spare room in our basement here, you'll see over here is the milking bathroom. We have a milk fridge. Normally I would have more than 1 day's milking in here. I only have 1 jar from yesterday or something. This fridge is kept really cold. You can't keep lettuce in here, you'll freeze it. What I try to do is I try to first of all balance milk across the shelves, but also like this is a cold jar here, and if I had another day's milking, I would do like warm jar, cold jar, warm jar, cold jar, just to help things chill down. Some people go through fancy chilling procedures, like putting it in the freezer, putting it outside, or putting it in water and all these things, and I've never done it and I've never had a problem. Mark my words, I guess I shouldn't say that because one day I will have a problem and I'll have to do a different chilling thing. I don't know. Some people say with different cows that they have to chill the milk really quickly or the milk tastes really like a cow. Our milk really already starts chilling outside because when I milk the first cow, after I've milked the first cow, that milk goes and sits in a snowbank until I'm done the second cow. Milk for us lasts a good week. Some people say they get 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, and I do know people that will drink it that long. Honestly, we like it for a week. Maybe if I did the fancier chilling, it would last 2 to 3 weeks, but lasting a week is totally fine for us. I don't need it to last longer than that. If I left milk for a week, I would end up with way too much milk in my fridge. So now this is all gonna stay in here until I need it. So my buckets, they can't just sit on a drying rack or just sit right side up. They have to all be hanging so that the water can drip out of them. Otherwise you'll end up with smelly buckets. This is just another one of those prevention things. And then on a pretty regular basis, we spray the sink down with the vinegar, as well as the table, Dirty laundry bucket, I wash rags on hot with an extra soak and all that sort of jazz. All my clean rags are in here. I obviously need to put away laundry because I'm low on rags, don't have enough for tomorrow. So there is how I get the milk into the fridge. Now I'm gonna go have breakfast, another cup of tea, and then I'll answer other questions about what we do with the milk. So now I'm coming to hide upstairs away from loud children. And I'm gonna show you a fun resource that I made and give you a rundown on what would you do with all this milk from your cow. So here is my rundown for you. An average homestead yield is 3 gallons of milk a day for a cow. Now, you may look at some of these numbers and go, but we use more, we use less, or we use more, we use less. This is a starting point. This is just a jump off for you. So if you got 3 gallons a day times 7 days a week, you get 21 gallons a week. A calf is going to drink 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons a day. There's many ways to feed a calf, whether it's calf sharing or bottle feeding or whatever. And usually at the beginning of lactation, when you're feeding a calf anyways, the cow's going to be giving more milk. This is like an average after she's weaned her calf yield. So 5 gallons a day for daily drinking and use. 4 gallons would become a 4-pound wheel of hard cheese to age, and then you have whey to feed to pigs or chickens. I honestly, you can't have a milk cow without pigs or chickens, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't. You must have chickens or pigs. Ideally pigs. So that would be like a full fat cheese like a cheddar, a Gouda. You could make your brie or your camembert, that sort of thing. 8 gallons of milk you would skim. So your cream. An example would be if you skimmed the cream off of average cream line gallons, you could make a couple quarts of ice cream that is part cream, part milk. A pint of sour cream and 2 pounds of butter, and then you'd have buttermilk that you could either add into cheese making or use for baking. Your skim milk, you can make mozzarella or parmesan, or just feed it to your pigs and the whey could go to the pigs. Common yields from skim milk mozzarella: 1 gallon of milk makes a scant pound of mozzarella. A 4-gallon batch of skim milk parmesan makes about a 3-pound wheel of parmesan. 1 gallon would go to our baby formula. That feeds 1 baby for a week when it's made into formula. And then you got 3 gallons left over here that you can either make another batch of cheese or more drinking or skim more because you need more butter. But this is for an average family. This is an average yield and an average usage, in my opinion. And how do you make that work? When are you making these things? So maybe one day after you milk, you take all of that fresh milk plus like 1 gallon from another day and make 4 gallons into a wheel of cheese right away. Like, don't even chill the milk, get it right into your cheese pot and get it going. I'm gonna do a video on cheese making essentials as well. Your skim milk, maybe, like for me, it's often Saturday is when I go down and I take out a bunch of jars of milk from the fridge, skim the cream, make butter, and deal with that and such. That's kind of my routine. I often, I'll do it if the kids are doing schoolwork they don't need hands-on help for, but I just need to be in the room with them. I'll work on skimming cream and making butter and making mozzarella or parmesan or something. The baby formula gets made every other day, but that's a pretty unique thing. Most people aren't going to be doing that. Most people are just going to put that extra gallon into their other extra milk to make another wheel of cheese. It's nice to kind of bounce between making cheeses that age for longer and age for shorter so that you have these cheeses aging and being ready to eat when you are needing cheese. To start off with, you're not going to be eating many wheels of cheese. You're going to be eating mostly mozzarella because it's a fresh eating cheese. You could make cream cheese. There's so many different things. It just depends on the dairy that your family wants. I just went by some average dairy things that people buy. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if you have more questions, I'd love if you ask them in the comments. I do my best to answer them. And now I'm going to get on filming a video for you on what you need to make cheese.